Hey you guys, I posted a little sticker on my Instagram stories and I said that you can ask me anything, beauty or personal, and you guys came with the questions. So let's jump right in. We'll do my makeup and answer those questions. Okay, so let's just get this fun questionnaire video started. I'm gonna start moisturizing the face. I'm gonna use the Be Hydra Intensive Serum from Sephora. This is a Drunk Elephant product and it is a sample size because I just wanted to try this stuff out before I committed to it. I've seen mixed reviews about Drunk Elephant and I'm just a little nervous about how my skin's gonna react. So we're just gonna use this as a primer and see how this goes. So the first question I got was, how are you staying safe? What are you doing to stay safe? And I hope that you are staying safe. And just to let you guys know, I don't have the greatest immune system, and so I just thought it would be best for me to just kind of like lay low. And I did leave the house to go to the grocery store, and I went to the hospital a few weeks ago for work. I don't work in the hospital all the time though. That was just a one-off situation. And other than that, I've been laying low and I've been staying safe. Thank you for saying that. You're super sweet. I don't always do my makeup in the same order. For today's look, we're gonna take the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Eyeshadow Primer and we're gonna put this on our eyes. Prior to putting on any other makeup, I am trying this product out. It had incredible reviews online, and so I just wanted to really see how it works. Used a couple different ways instead of just like always putting it on the top of the lid. I sometimes try primers underneath the eye. I definitely like to put primers around my mouth, and then anywhere I feel like I have a little texture. That's a little pro tip. If you take an eyeshadow primer and you put it on like a breakout that's healing or texture, maybe you got a facial and you're like peeling a little bit, take your primer and pop it on and it'll help fill in any texture, any inconsistencies. Okay, the next question I got was, do you love Tula products? Have you tried any? What do you recommend? Curious. So the thing is, I have not tried Tula. I want to. Up until recently, I wasn't really that intrigued with anything from their line. Nothing really stood out to me. I think the packaging's cute, and I love that it's gotten so popular lately. I have acne prone skin, so a lot of things that I try are to combat acne, and I also wear a lot of makeup. So if it's not gonna make my makeup look better or heal my acne, I just don't really explore it that much. But recently I heard that they came out with a primer that was blurring and it was incredible, and I've seen it on a few people and it looked really good. So that is something that's on my list of things that I want to get. I just haven't gotten it yet. So this next question is a little bit loaded and there's several parts to the answer, so I'm just going to take it piece by piece. The first part of the question was, how do you shop for foundations online? How do you go about doing that? So that is not easy. That is not a simple or easy task to do. How I do it is essentially it is a shot in the dark, because the way the photo is edited online is just really not the way that it's going to look in person. But typically online, like Sephora website for example, they have descriptions that kind of explain the undertone. So once you identify your undertone, whether you are more, pink or cool toned, or you are more warm and golden, or you have a little bit more red, or you are more olive, or you're more neutral, and sometimes putting a yellow foundation on a neutral skin tone looks gray, whatever it is that you identify as your undertone to be, go with that and look at the description of your foundations online, because that's gonna help guide you in the right direction. Now, if you're serious about finding the right foundation online and you don't want to go into the store, or times like now with quarantine where we can't go into the store, if you can afford to, buy 2 or 3 foundations. Like I always try to get one foundation that's my actual skin tone, and then I go and I buy the 2 adjacent to it on either side, so like the lighter and then the darker, because typically I can make one of those work, and it's typically a combo of the 2 because I always mix colors. But if you don't really want to mix colors and that's too much work for you, make the initial investment up front to buy several and then just return the ones that you don't want. Sephora and Ulta have pretty generous return policies, and so you don't need to feel like you're locked in or obligated to use a product when it really just doesn't match your skin tone. Okay, the second part of this question is on shopping in store, things just don't feel sanitary. So I totally get that. To be honest, they're really not, and there's really a very hard way of getting around it, but it can be done. So if you are in store and you want to try on a foundation, let's say it's a liquid, typically liquids don't transmit that much bacteria when they're being pumped out. If the employees are doing what they're supposed to, you are supposed to sanitize the head of the pump, the nozzle, and keep that clean. And when you're dispensing it, it really shouldn't touch the skin, and so that should really keep it clean. But let's say it's a cream. So creams should actually be scraped off the top. Like if you have a cream foundation, the top layer should be scraped off, and then you should actually take from the clean layer underneath. And also creams should be sprayed down with alcohol. Now the reason why that's not done a lot is because spraying a cream foundation down with 70% isopropyl alcohol, which is commonly used at cosmetic counters, is going to dry that cream formula out. So what I would do is express to the salesperson that you do want a sample, you want to try the foundation on, but you just don't want to try it on your face. Or I would go ask for a sample that you can take home, go home, spritz it with a little alcohol, let it dry. That takes off some of the bacteria. It's not going to totally clean it. And then you can put it on your face at home with your own tools and look at it in different lighting. But if you're in store, try it on the back of your hand. It may not be the cleanest, but you can always sanitize and wash your hands later. And obviously with coronavirus going on right now, that's not going to be an option. But when this is all lifted and over with, try the foundation on your hands and then immediately remove it. Step one of foundation match is to identify your undertone so that the process is a little bit more streamlined for you. But then the second part is to try it on an area that you have a vein showing. So I always say to try concealers or foundations on veins, because if it can cover the blue, it's going to cover acne scars, under eye bags, things like that that might concern you to why you're even wanting to wear foundation in the first place. Try your foundation on those difficult areas and you will see whether it's going to perform well on your face. I also say the same thing for eye creams. I also say the same thing for primers, because if you put a primer on your knuckle and you see the wrinkles diminish or go down significantly and you see a smoother texture, then you know that that's a good primer for you. Same thing with an eye cream. If you put it on something heavily textured like an elbow, a knuckle, or something like that, and then you feel like the wrinkles or the texture are a little bit softer and a little bit more subtle than they were before, then that's a good eye cream. I can't personally vouch for the sanitation at a lot of counters and a lot of stores, but I personally did work for MAC and we cleaned things like no other. So whenever I had to let a customer try on a lipstick, I had to completely twist up the bullet. I'll actually show you. You have to completely twist up the bullet, tip it upside down in the 70% isopropyl alcohol for 14 seconds, let it dry upside down so that the alcohol doesn't go up into the tube and break the lipstick, and flip it up and then wipe it. And we cleaned them and sanitized them and wiped them every night. So, and then obviously between each customer as well. So if you are going to sample something, go to a Nordstrom or go to a larger company's counter like MAC where they have those practices in place and they're regulated, and you should be good. Okay, so the next question is, do you use castor oil on your lashes for growth, for eyebrow growth and eyelash growth? And the answer to that is no. I have in the past, and I am a firm believer in almond oil. I'm obsessed with almond oil for the eyelashes and the eyebrow area and the under eye area, and I just really love the way that sweet almond oil, I get it at Whole Foods or Amazon, and I'm just very, very obsessed with the way that that does condition my lashes and then really, really, really nourish that under eye area. So I don't do castor oil, but I do know that several people do, and I've heard that it works. For under eye concealer, I'm going to go in with the Pat McGrath Labs Fetish Eyes Concealer. Okay, so the next question is, what race are you? And a lot of people assume when I meet them in person, not like on Instagram with you guys, but in person when I meet with people, I would say 95% of people assume that I am Latina or Hispanic or Central American. Very, very rarely do they assume that I'm Indian. But I'm happy to be racially ambiguous. I don't mind it. I think it's a compliment. And I speak very little Spanish. Like I used to work at a cosmetic surgery practice, and I could speak enough Spanish to like instruct the patient to take like the post-op medication or the pre-op medications, but and I could understand when they had special requests, but it wasn't like the most fluent conversation, and I didn't feel the most confident to like really carry out long conversations. I can say basic phrases. Being in Texas, I mean, I think you've got to like speak enough to get by, but I need to practice. So yes, I am Indian. My dad is from Punjab and my mom is from UP, and my mom grew up speaking Hindi, my dad grew up speaking Punjabi, and of course the national language is Hindi, and so they can speak Hindi to each other. And then growing up in our home, they actually just spoke English, so my Hindi could be better. My Punjabi is hotmess.com, and I can understand when people are speaking, but again, not the best. I need the moral of this video, I need to work on my languages. I need to get better at another language. I need to broaden my horizons, because I've always wanted to like be fluent in Hindi or Punjabi, and it's just something I never did. And now with the quarantine, it's like, why am I not working on another language? All right, this next question says, what are your thoughts on powdered foundation? Which brands do you prefer and why? Okay, love a powdered foundation. I love powders. My makeup routine is very powder heavy. To me, the way you can get the most flawless airbrushed look in person when you are talking to somebody is with powders. It is not with creams. You can create nice dimension with creams, but creams move. Creams are very temperamental. You have to set them, and powders are just where it's at. You can wear powder on, I don't know, the hottest day in July, and if you've got it layered correctly and you've got a little setting spray, you're good. Like, I promise you're good. So my favorite powdered foundation of all time, no matter what, like when I die, like throw one of these compacts in the casket with me because this is what I need, is MAC Studio Fix powder. I swear by this powder. I don't like it as a powdered foundation alone. I have to have a little concealer with it or a little primer, but it is a gorgeous, gorgeous powder. It gives you the most flawless coverage, and it's buildable. So you can do a sheer layer, or you can really, really build it up. So I actually use it to set the underneath area of my eyes and where I've highlighted my face. To me, it just is the most versatile shade range. It has colors that can suit literally almost any skin tone, and it's been a makeup artist staple forever. Runners up for powdered foundation is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. That's a very, very, very heavy duty formula. I think the shade range could be just a little bit better, but the formula and the coverage is very beautiful. Third, I like Makeup Forever. I think they have really beautiful powder foundations, and if I had to pick a drugstore powder foundation, I would actually do the loose Maybelline Fit Me, and it's not a powder foundation, but how you can turn that into a powdered foundation is if you actually layer your primer while it's sticky, spray it down with Urban Decay All Nighter, and then put your Maybelline Fit Me on top of it, and it will stay. Okay, for eyes, we are going to use the Persona Identity 2 palette. So, okay, this other question is, I thought I saw you wearing scrubs in one of your snaps. Do you work in the hospital? So no, I do not work in the hospital. I am a nurse, but right now I'm not working as a bedside nurse. I'm working as a consultant. So I wear scrubs sometimes if I'm going into a clinical setting, but most days I wear business, well, aside from the quarantine, obviously, I wear business clothes now. I wore scrubs every single day when I worked in cosmetic surgery, and when I first got into that, I thought that I would really love wearing scrubs every single day, but what I realized is that I am someone who is very sensitive to like daily routine, and not getting dressed every single day and like throwing on scrubs and throwing a mask on and throwing my hair up in a bun did not work well for me, which can't be a surprise. But I mean, I loved that I didn't have to get ready, but then it kind of like, I don't know, it just took a toll on me, and I'm definitely someone who needs to get dressed every single day for my mental health. So, and then the person said, thank you if you are for what you're doing, and that is so sweet. I am not on the front lines, but so many of my friends and family are, day in and day out, and including my sister is actually testing people every single day, and so she is face to face with this every single day, and it's tough and it's scary, and that's a very honorable thing. And so if you are in the healthcare profession or you are on the front lines of what's going on right now, thank you. This other person said, how did you meet your husband? So I met my husband when I was 14. I went to a church fall festival with one of my friends. So growing up in middle school, elementary school, I never really had a lot of Indian friends. And when I got to high school, the high school I went to had a lot of Indians. And it was kind of a newer experience for me. And so to make friends with other Indian girls that I didn't grow up with, like these are like friends that like I organically like formed these friendships with, was really, really fun to me. A dear, dear friend of mine who I still love so much, invited me to her church, and she was like, just come, we're doing a fall festival, you should come. So I was like, okay. I had never gone to another Indian church. I had never like been around other Indian people that I didn't grow up with or was related to, and when she invited me, it was like a world of like all these people I had never like seen before. I didn't even know they existed. Like, I know that sounds really like small town, but you know, when you're young and you don't drive, you don't really get outside your bubble. And so I went to that fall festival, and my husband was there and he was playing basketball, and we were 14, and then we got each other's screen name. I think he asked my friend for my screen name, and he got my screen name, and we talked online, and then we were friends for several years, and then we dated we dated senior year of high school, freshman year of college, broke up for 5 years, dated again when we were 24, and then got married 5 years later. Okay, so this next question says, what's your favorite childhood memory? So first of all, something you should know is that I have a psycho memory. Like, I literally remember almost anything and everything, and I remember the smallest details about stuff even when I don't want to, which is kind of an annoying thing. But one of my favorite childhood memories is not one specific memory, but I grew up with a swimming pool, and having people over was so fun to me. Like, having people over to swim, hosting, having like a barbecue, inviting kids over from my neighborhood, like over to swim and then sleep over. It was just so fun to me to have a pool. I literally, like, in the summer months would just come home straight from school, like throw my bag down and like immediately change into my swimsuit and go jump in. So I really like loved the memories I made around the swimming pool and inviting my cousins over. They lived right behind me, over to come swim, and just kind of having this thing that, like, no matter what I was going through, no matter what kind of day I had, no matter what was going on, like if my sisters were bullying me because they're like 8 years older than me, or whatever was going on, I always had that swimming pool and I could always like jump in, have a good time. It was a guaranteed good time. So loved growing up swimming. I also rode my bike everywhere. I used to like save up all my money, ride my bike to Leslie's Pool Supply, and then buy floats. And like I would save up money because I wanted like the Shamu raft, or I would, whatever, like save up money to get like bigger and better floats and like expensive goggles. And that's what I did. Like that's what my summers consisted of, aside from like cheerleading practice and cheer camp, because I cheered my entire life. I swam like a little fish, Little Mermaid. So speaking of childhood memories, or children I should say, someone asked, when am I having children? I get that question a lot, especially because of my age, and it's just not something I'm focused on right now. I know that I will be soon enough. I mean, I'm 32, and so, I haven't not thought about it. It's just not something I'm really focused on right now. When it happens, it happens. All right, someone asked, how is your eating and working out routine going? I didn't come here to be attacked. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously with the gyms being closed right now because of what's going on in the world, that has shifted. I am someone who has to like lift weights. I have to like feel a burnout. I have to be exhausted when I leave the gym, and if I'm not, then it's not a good workout for me. So that's been a little tough because I don't have weights, but there's a lot of HIIT exercises that I can do to replace that feeling. And I've been walking every single night with Terrell. We walk in the neighborhood, and it has a ton of hills and a lot of like greenery because it's on a golf course, and so there's a lot of beautiful scenery around me to just kind of get my mind off of day-to-day stuff of just like working from home and being at home and in the house all day. And then eating, I'm so surprised at myself because I struggle with like snacking. Like, I'm not so much someone who like needs to have like a cheeseburger and fries, but like I'll snack all day. I really will. So yeah, I'm definitely someone who would snack all day. I am let's just have like a little handful of almonds, and then back in the kitchen in an hour and I'm eating like a little goat cheese, and then it's so it's like that's something that I was like nervous about because I didn't want to like gain a ton of weight. And once I realized that I was like being mindful of it, it hasn't been bad. It's been kept under control. So eating's been okay. And obviously I'm like actively dodging the grocery store, so that's another thing too, because it's just like I'm not going to get the best meals in while I'm doing that. But eating healthy, and then T's parents have been cooking for us quite a bit, and we like go pick that up from them because they live behind us, and so we get fresh South Indian food, which is really good, and I never really had that until we got married, so super yummy. All right, one of my old coworkers wrote in and said, do you miss me? And yes, I do. I miss my old coworkers. We worked very closely in the OR, and our surgeries were hours and hours, and so you become very close to the girls and guys that you work with. And I still talk to probably all of my coworkers at least once a week at minimum, whether that's through text or DMs or whatever. We keep in touch, we keep in contact, and I'm very like I'm a sentimental person. Like, you may not know that about me, but like once I meet someone and they leave like an imprint on my heart and like in my life, I like will actively like keep up with them. I do not like to let things fall to the wayside, and sometimes that can be hard because I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm like forcing a friendship, but I just really care about people, and so that was a really hard job for me to leave, not because of the job, but because of the people. Okay, this next question said, what products can I put on my damp hair, and what do I recommend for heat protectors? So there are a ton of different heat protectants out on the market. My personal recommendation is just to find the one that agrees with the type of hair that you have. So if you have really fine hair, I personally would not use one that has that's like a cream or anything, because it might be too heavy for you. I would probably go with one that is a little bit more of a spray form. So actually Tresemme, which is drugstore, makes one of the best spray heat protectants out on the market, and I just would like go with something that has an aerosol or spray nozzle, because you can really control the amount of product that you are applying, and it's not going to weigh down your hair. Okay, and then if you have more dense hair, why did I say that so weird? But if you have more dense hair, then I would go with something that is a very sheer cream like this. This is R&Co Park Avenue Blow Up Balm. So although it says that it's a balm, it actually is fairly lightweight, and it's not overly hydrating, and so it just gives the hair a little bit of like a moisture barrier, so that whenever you go to style it, it doesn't get attacked by your blow dryer. And then my other one that I have been just completely obsessed with is this Kerastase one. It's called the Kerastase Nutritive Nectar Thermique. So it's almost like a gel cream. So it's very lotiony, and it actually like calms the frizz down. So it almost feels like I'm putting like a little bit of gel on, and then when I go to style my hair, it just really soothes the hair cuticle, and it smells insane. It smells so good. It's not cheap, you guys, but it's absolutely worth it. Okay, this next question says, what is my favorite restaurant? So T and I are very, very big foodies. We don't ever party or anything, so like the only thing we do is go out to eat and try new restaurants. If I had to pick my favorite restaurant in Dallas, and this is like not fancy steakhouse, this is just like, it's Saturday night, we've worked all week, we want to go get something yummy to eat, it would be Wabi House on Lower Greenville. It is so good. The ramen there is so good. The staff is so friendly. They have a Fort Worth location as well, so if you live up in Fort Worth, then that's going to be a little bit closer to you. But I just love their ramen. It's on another level. You know, it's consistently good, and the service is quick, it's prompt. T and I can both eat for under like $25. Well, we don't get drinks, so it's really, really inexpensive. And then it's down the street from Milk and Cream, which is a donut shop that sells ice cream sandwiches. So you can get a glazed or unglazed donut, and then you can put ice cream in it, and you can get a topping, and they have like all these cute little flavors like Cookie Monster, and it's just like so cute, and it's walking distance from Wabi. So we go get Wabi House, and then we walk to get Milk and Cream, and that's about as wild as our Saturday nights get. For blush, I'm going to take this shadow and kind of create a little bit of a blush with it, because I just love this color so much. Okay, the next question was, what's my favorite drugstore foundation? And I'm going to have to say, anything by Maybelline is going to be good to go. Maybelline has done a really good job of like understanding skin tones and changing up their formulas to suit a variety of skin tones, and they just understand. They understand that there are all shades on the rainbow, and we need to cater to the entire spectrum. So I think Maybelline's done a really good job of that, and I would have to say the second runner-up would be Milani. I think Milani, their Perfect and Conceal foundation is pretty good, and both of those are fairly inexpensive. I have to say that because even though it's drugstore, that doesn't always mean that it's cheap. Drugstore is climbing up there with the rest of them. So yeah, if you had to pick one, I'd say anything by Maybelline, specifically the Fit Me. They have the Dewy and Smooth, and then they have the Matte and Poreless, and I love the Matte and Poreless. Okay, by the way, you guys, this Hello Halo highlighter from Wet n Wild, you would have thought I paid $50 for that. I'm not even kidding. It's better than some things that I've gotten at Neiman Marcus. Like, it's so good. For lips, we're going to take a Kylie 20 liner. This is my favorite liner in the whole world. For lips, we're going to keep it simple, and we're just going to go in with this gloss from Hourglass, and it's called Unreal, and it is so good. All right, you guys, that concludes this Get Ready With Me, Ask Me Anything session. I hope you guys had fun, and if you would, please consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. I'm a tiny little creator here on YouTube, and I just want to create fun, interesting, and educational content for all of you. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.